Hello everyone. I think I'm live now. Should be live. So if hi everyone. Hi. So if you can see me, I think I'm live now. So maybe you can type in your comments. Okay, I see Lin Yap. Thank you very much. Lin is the first one to comment. Really thanks for it because you see, I really cannot see myself. So I'm still trying to figure out this thing, but it would help me if you can give me a bit of response, so at least I know that I am talking to somebody, right? So thank you very much for coming in again at today 9:30 p.m. for tonight's session. Let's just maybe see who is here, right? Okay, Lin Yap, hi, Ivy, Peng Wee Chong, right? Audrey, Jeffrey Tan. Okay, so we have a few people here. So I think I will just maybe should we just give them about another 1 minute or so before I start off the lesson proper. I mean the sharing proper, right? Because I think some people they are still coming in over the next, some of them may be a bit late lah. So maybe we can just wait for them. So okay, I think the big news today, I mean this week, is that with the resumption of the phase two reopening, which has just been announced, um, like just 3 or 4 days ago. Definitely that's very good news for everybody, right? Because you can go to your favorite, makan place to sit down there and dine in, even though it's 5 people, but I think that's okay, right? Most of the retail stores will be open. And also, of course, the good news is that property viewings can now resume, right? That means to say that you can go to the show flat, or if let's say you want to see a property, a physical viewing, you can do so as well. Okay, so that's definitely good news that phase two has come at this time. Okay, is I think earlier than expected, because they were earlier on they were saying about, I think about end of June or early July. So we have, earlier now is around third week of June. I think that's very good news, right? So hopefully with that, we'll see more activities in the property market, and whatever I've shared with you guys in the last 1 month, or last, I think 6 or 7 sessions or so, will be very useful for you in terms of making your property investment decision. Okay, now let's see who else is here. Kelvin, hi Kelvin. Justina, nice to see you again, Justina, right? Desmond Chong, nice to see you as well, right? So maybe I will just proceed on with my sharing tonight, and as we go along, I think more people will join in. Okay, where I left off last week is really about developers giving away discounts. Okay, the last week's topic is really about the news that 38 Jervois has started to give huge discount since the first week of June, and within 7 days, or within a week, all remaining 16 units were sold, right? All fully cleared, right? So that was the topic last week, and I thought this week, I always think of new things, new insights to share with you guys. I don't want to just keep saying the same old things which you can read in newspapers, or you can hear from property agents, or hear from other places outside, right? Those are very common things. So I try to come up with more unique insights which we don't really get to hear from anybody else. That is my style, right? I want to really provide another perspective, a unique, maybe alternative angles to you guys, for you to consider when you look at property investing. Okay, so following from last week's news or sharing about 38 Jervois, I thought, okay, there's another developer giving huge discount on their project, right? And the project is 8 St. Thomas. So really, I mean, today's topic is really about, in a way, it's a continuation from last week, right? It's like St. Thomas, also giving discount, but I will not go so much into covering last week's topic. This week will really be about St. Thomas, and what are the things that I think we can find out from whatever we are seeing in the last 2 weeks in terms of properties, developers giving discounts, huge discounts on their projects, right? So are we good to go? I think we are good to go. So we have got David Liu here as well. Hi David, right, nice to see you. Okay, so maybe I can do a share screen. I hope I'm successful this time, because last week I wasn't able to do it due to some technical error. Let's see if I'm able to share my screen. Oh, I'm not able to share my screen. I'm not sure why. Okay, This Facebook doesn't allow me to share my screen. Strange. Okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. As usual, I've got my this flip chart here, so I will base most of my sharing on this flip chart. I think it's fine, right? Okay. So let's see. Hi Cheng Cheng, you just came in, right? Nice to see you, Cheng Cheng. So okay, last week I mentioned about 38 Jervois, the developer, okay, giving huge discounts. And what is the implication for developers doing such a move, right? So to understand why developers want to give huge discount, obviously they want to clear their units. So for 38 Jervois, it's no different, right? They want to clear their units for the developer. And the implication for the developer is that there are two main implications here. Number one is that obviously um, they can clear most of their units or sell their units at a faster rate, but that also risks incurring the unhappiness of the earlier buyers who have bought at a higher price, right? So in a way, there is a bit of a sensitivity there, a bit of a reputational risk in terms of how buyers may perceive a certain developer if they keep doing this kind of thing. Like what happened to 38 Jervois, where they have been selling for some time, they couldn't sell it, and now they're giving huge discounts. So those earlier buyers who bought at 2400 PSF, obviously, now the developers are selling at or have just sold at 2100, obviously they are not very happy about it, right? So there's a bit of reputational risk involved, right, in terms of developers giving huge discounts, right? And of course, I also mentioned that very importantly is that be very mindful about what kind of discounts you are looking at, okay? Because a lot of times the discounts have already been priced into the purchase price already, right? So for example, I think last week I mentioned this, but I will just write it down. Okay, I'll just write it down here. I think you can see the whiteboard. Okay, you can see the whiteboard. So for example, before discount, right? So let's say during normal time, right? Okay, you can see the word normal. Okay, let's say a developer is selling for $1 million a condo, right? So maybe now they come up with some promotional discount. They give you maybe let's say 20,000 off for specific units, right? So during discount period, right, what they may do is, okay, I give you 20,000 discount, $20,000 discount, right, which is pretty good money, okay. But the thing is that they may adjust the price to 1.05 million, right? That means to say that after the discount, you are buying at what kind of price are you buying at, right? So this is minus 20K, so you are buying at 1.03 million, right? Okay, or it may be the same. That means net is the same. Maybe they sell you at 1.02 million, right? Minus away the 20K discount, right? So you still buy at what price? 1 million, right? Now, what is the effect of doing this? The effect of doing this is that they give the perception that they are giving discount to you as a buyer, so that you'll be more keen to buy their units and they can move more units faster, right? So that is the perception. But net actually the pricing wise, you may be paying a bit more or even at the same price without discount. Okay, so that is what I meant by I have last week's slide where I mentioned this point about all that glitter is not gold, right? All that glitters is not gold, right? Um, discounts is just a perception that developers create for investors and buyers to purchase, right? Have more urgency to purchase their properties. But at the end of the day, we have to look at the after discount price to see whether that kind of price we are looking at, the final net price, does it make sense to us? Okay. Now, so what about 38? What about this eggs and Thomas now, right? Eggs and Thomas. Okay, the pricing is about, okay, I'll just draw this here, right? Pricing, right? Eggs and Thomas. Let's say for a typical cheapest unit, 1044 square feet, right? Two bedroom, right? Two bedroom, 1044 square feet, right? So before the discount, it was about 3 million, right? So after the discount, it is about, I think it's about maybe about 2.6 million, right? So that is the kind of price quoted by the market news, Okay, so look at the discount is about maybe about 10 to 15%, 10 to 15%. So what kind of absolute figures are we talking about here? About 3 to 400,000, decrease in terms of the normal price before the discount, right? Before the discount and after the discount, the price gap is about 3 to 400,000. Okay, so the question is, okay, now X and Thomas following very closely behind the footstep of 38 Jervois, they are giving this kind of huge discount, six-figure discount. Does it mean that, is it a good buy? The question is it a good buy? Okay, let's look at this. Okay, if you recall last week, when I analyzed this 38 Jervois, I actually gave four considerations, right? Four considerations, right? I'll just write it here, right? Number one is in terms of the number one is let me think. Okay, location, right? Location. Number two is the size. Okay. Number three is the performance. Number four is the price. Okay, you guys can see, right? You guys can see. Okay, let's see who else is here. Raja is here. Hi. Felix. Hi. Clarence, Jasmine Chi. Right. Thanks for joining us. So you guys didn't miss much because we just started. Basically, the first 10 minutes was a recap of what I shared last week about 38 Jervois. So for 38 Jervois, I gave this four breakdown about in terms of like I look at 38 Jervois after the discount. Do I think that it is something which is a good purchase? And after looking at these 4 points, I feel that it is not that fantastic, right? A deal for 38 Jervois. Okay, maybe I just very quickly go through the 4 pointers here, right? So if we look at in terms of location, right? Location, 38 Jervois is at an area where, yes, it is exclusive, it's like a GCB area, but the thing is that not many people know where 38 Jervois is. It's not like a very prominent area like Redhill or Alexandra or River Valley. Okay, right? So 38 Jervois in terms of the location is a bit not something people may not know where the project is straight away. Okay, so that means that in terms of future sellability, there may be a bit of an issue where buyers do not know where this project, and if buyers do not know where this project, you have got less chances to, less buyers looking at your property, and potentially it's more difficult, more challenging for you to sell, because I think you'll agree with me that if you have more people looking at your property, it is easier for you to sell. Okay, right? So if you have sold your HDB or condo before, I think you will know what I'm talking about. Imagine 1 month you advertise, 1 month, right? You only get 2 phone calls versus 20 phone calls. That's a big difference, right? 20 phone calls, there may be a few people coming for viewing, and then eventually one will offer you the price you want. Okay, so that's for location, right? Now, number two is in terms of the size, and this is the place, the point where I really had an issue with 38 Jervois, because as I've shared last week, their 3 bedroom are like, the size is like 818 square feet, 818 square feet. So it's really tiny, right? Really tiny. If you have been to any show flats with 3 bedrooms that are like less than 900 square feet, I think you will really feel that the rooms are really small. You put a bed, you can't really put anything else. And I would foresee that's exactly what the rooms of 38 Jervois will be like, okay, at 818 square feet. And to make it worse, the 3 bedrooms, most of them are configured in such a way that it is a dual key unit. So you waste the space, you waste another maybe 2 to 3 square meters at the foyer area, where foyer is the common area where the 2 units will go into separate entrances. Okay, so that's for the size. Performance is another thing which I'm very concerned about, because performance is really, I look at 38 Jervois, they have been selling for 2.5 years, and they only sold like 10 units, right? And the previous 1 year, they were not able to sell even a single unit before they gave the big discount, right? So it tells me something. Maybe at $2,400 dollars per square feet, buyers are not thinking that this is a good deal to buy, and that's why the performance was very slow, the sales was very slow. But obviously that changed when they gave the big discount last week, right? Last 2 weeks, and they sold all the remaining 16 units within 7 days, right? Obviously, I think some people thought the discount was good, so they went to buy it. So that is okay, because what I'm sharing with you is just my personal opinion on 38 Jervois. but obviously there will be people who think that it is a good buy, right? So the fourth point about the price, as I said, after the discount about 2100 PSF, I think it is still a bit on the high side. Okay, so I don't feel that even after the discount, it is anything fantastic. And taking into consideration the previous 3 points about the location, the size, and the performance, I don't feel very comfortable with it. Okay, so coming to Eggs and Thomas, how does Eggs and Thomas fare in terms of by comparing the same criteria with 38 Jervois, right? Okay, in terms of location, right? In terms of location, I think it is in a much better location because it is along River Valley Road and along the main road, and it is quite prominent, right? Even the size, point number two, the size, right? Size is a big size project, 250 units, okay? Compared to 38 Jervois is only like 27 units, so definitely a big project, and is prominent along the main road. So there's definitely buyers visibility in future if they want to sell this project. If you buy a unit, you want to sell um, 8 St. Thomas, I think it will be easier in future than 38 Jervois. So size, I think definitely works in in this case in 8 St. Thomas favor, right? What about the performance? Okay, the performance, they only started selling, the developer only started selling 8 St. Thomas from 2018 onwards, right? So they managed to sell about half the units, about 120 units so far. Okay, so if you take the last 2 years, they sold about 100 over units, 120 units. You think that it's not a bad performance because it is still a high-end luxury project, and they managed to sell like 100 over units in the last 2 years. I think it is not too bad, right, in terms of performance, right? So I think the first 3 points for X and Thomas, there's some things going for it, and they all compare favorably as compared with 38 Jervois, right? In terms of the location, in terms of size of the units. Oh, sorry, the size of the units also is also a more ideal for investment for own stay because their 2 bedroom is this kind of very comfortable size, 1044 square feet, right? Their 3 bedroom is about 1152 square feet. So in terms of location, I think in terms of location, Eggs and Thomas, I think is in a much better position because it is along the main road, big building, right? In terms of the unit size itself, it is comfortable for own stay, for investment, very comfortable. 2 bedroom, the smallest are like 800 plus square feet. The bigger ones are like more than 1,000 square feet. 3 bedrooms are like 1,001 square feet compared to a small, tiny 800 square feet for 38 Jervois, right? So size, I think 8 St. Thomas is also much better, right? Performance, obviously, in the last 2 years, they managed to sell more than 100 units compared to, just like last 2.5 years, 38 Jervois only sold like 10 units, right? So performance also much better as well, right? Now, back to now, the most important factor, price. When we look at price, how do we think whether, after the discount at maybe this kind of price, right, for Eggs and Thomas, is it a good deal or not, right? Is it a good deal, right? So before I go into price, okay, I maybe want to share a bit of history about this project, Eggs and Thomas, right? So who is the developer here? Developer is Bukit Sembawang. So what they did was they bought two pieces of land in 2006 and 2007. They amalgamate the land to create this, what you see today, Eggs and Thomas, right? So the land was actually bought through the former en bloc, right? So one of the piece of land was actually from the previous, this is development called Che Bright Apartment, right? Doesn't matter if you don't know it, like it's okay because it's so many years ago. So it's called Che Bright Apartment, right? So this was en bloc in 2006, right? Then the other one is called I think Airview Towers or something, right? Airview Towers was en bloc in 2007, right? So these two plot of land combine to form what it is the site area today for 8 St. Thomas. Okay, so initially the design when 2008, the time when Bukit Sembawang designed, in line with the kind of trend during those days. During those days, the buyers favor big units. Big units means like 3-4 bedrooms, right? 3-4 bedrooms, right? So that was the initial design. But after the global financial crisis came in 2008, right? Due to the credit crunch and all those things, um, developers started to realize that they cannot build such a big units because it becomes very expensive and nobody can afford. So for H and Thomas, together with the industry trend, right, that is why in the last 10 years, starting from the last 10 years, we started to see a lot of small units coming, like studio, one bedroom, two bedrooms coming out of the market, right? Previously, 10, 15 years ago, honestly, there's hardly any like one, two bedrooms in the market. They are all like family size, three bedroom, four bedrooms, right? So for X and Thomas, also the same thing. When after the after the financial crisis, the developer look at the design again because they haven't started building. They just look at the design and see that okay, we need to convert maybe some of these three, four bedrooms are into smaller units. So they came up the final unit mix that they have today. 50% are small units like one, two bedrooms. Then 50% are bigger units, the three, four bedrooms. So it's a good balance, right? So that is the kind of history from for Aids and Thomas, and they only started to sell this in 2018, right? 2018. So 2018 until today, for about last 2 years, they sold about 120 units, which is not too bad, right? At about 3,000 per square feet. Okay. So now the thing is, if we look at price, how do we compare, Aids and Thomas after the discount, right? Is it something which we can buy, we can consider? Okay. Now, at about 26 or 27 PSF, about this kind of price, let's say at about 26 PSF or about 27 PSF, okay, at this kind of price here, right? We're talking about this kind of price here. How does it compare? Does it make sense for you to buy something like 8 St. Thomas after the discount in River Valley, a freehold property, right? So, of course, we have to use certain benchmark here, right? So I will compare with similar new launches, maybe around that area, and what are the kind of other new launches around that are selling today. Obviously, the closer ones would be the Avenir. Avenir is selling about 3,000, right? 3,001, 3,002 PSF, and then we have got RV Altitude, and then Riviera as well. So all these are selling about 2009, 3,000, about that kind of range, right? So if you look at in terms of absolute numbers, I mean 26 to 27 is actually okay. I mean not too bad. I mean there's a bit of discount from the other three projects I mentioned, like the Avenir, RV Altitude, and Riviera. Okay, right? So um, does it mean that okay, with this kind of little bit of price gap, I feel that Aids and Thomas is something which we can consider? Okay, my short answer to that is that no, I don't think I'm even at after the discount price. I don't think I myself is comfortable with buying a property like Aids and Thomas, right, at 2.5 million, at about 2,600 TSF, right? And this is the reason which I'm going to share with you. Okay, now the reason is that after the discount, yes, despite having this maybe about $300, price gap from the high end, the most expensive project selling around there, like the Avenir, RV Altitude, or Riviera, right? I still feel that at about 2006 PSF, I think it's still a bit risky for me. I wouldn't say it's overpriced, but I think it's risky, right? That is the how I want to put it into perspective. Okay, what do I mean by that? Okay, now obviously, if we compare with Avenir, RV Altitude, which are selling at 3,000 PSF, obviously this kind of price 26, 27, I think is not too bad. Okay, right? But the thing is that uh, if we look at the history in the last 15 years, we'll probably see something which we can learn from, right? And this is the thing which I want to share with you guys is that okay, on one hand, if we compare with the top selling projects, it seems a bit, a bit of value because this is like after discount, it's like $300-400 cheaper. Okay, right? And of course, if you look at the future potential of River Valley area, right? What is the future potential of River Valley area? Okay, what potential is there? So potential, I mean future projects that may be launched in River Valley. What kind of price are we expecting them to sell? Okay, to kind of have an indication. So River Valley, that area, there's not much empty land left for government to sell you, under government land sales for developers to come and bid and then buy the piece of land and then build the project. Most of the activities going on in River Valley area would be arising from en bloc of existing projects, en bloc of existing old projects in River Valley area. And I believe there are quite a number of them. Okay, so two of the projects which are already earmarked, have already set a reserve price, right? One of them is called Grange Heights, right? So the other one is called Elizabeth Towers, right? So what is the kind of price the residents are looking to sell to a developer, right? So for Grange Heights, it's about 1,900 PSF, okay? For Elizabeth Towers, it's about 2,400 PSF, okay? So if you think about it, at 1,900 PSF, okay, and 2,400 PSF for these two projects, that is just a land cost for a developer to come in to buy, pay all the residents of Grange Heights and Elizabeth Towers, right, for them to sell their property to a developer, for me to build a new condo to sell, okay, right? So my land cost is 1,009 for Grange Heights, okay, and 2,004 for Elizabeth Tower. That is just my land cost alone. Land cost means I pay the residents for them to give me the whole property, right? So if I factor in my construction cost and my profit margin and everything else, I think we have to sell at least above 3,000, right? Maybe about 3,003 to 3,005, right? Easily in the next, eventually when these two projects really go on block, right? So we're looking at a future price of potentially 3,003 to 3,005 selling price for River Valley, okay? So obviously, again, if you use this kind of benchmark, if en bloc happens for Grange Heights and Elizabeth Towers, and future project that is going to be, developed at these two sites are going to sell at 3,005 PSF, 3,005 PSF versus today 2,006 PSF. Wow, I got a big difference, Obviously, this one seems very undervalued, right? And obviously, even if en bloc doesn't take place, if you compare this price with the kind of price you're seeing today in the market, like 3,000 for Avenir, 3,002 for Avenir, right? Again, it's like a few $100 good difference there. Okay, so on one hand, you can use that perspective to compare based on this discount price with whatever you're seeing in the market, plus whatever potentially can be developed in the future projects and what is their expected selling price in the future. Obviously, this price 2006 to 2007 PSF will be quite attractive, right? But I think I choose not to use my judgment in such a way, right? Because I think it's a bit dangerous, right? Why? Now, what is the most expensive, or where are the most expensive properties in Singapore today, right? Where are the most expensive properties in Singapore today? I think we can find them in District 9, 10, 11, right? District 9, 10, 11. So maybe 3,000, 3 to 4,000 PSF today is probably the highest that you can find, maybe around Orchard area, okay, right? And the thing is that at 2,600 PSF, I think for a freehold in River Valley, yes, I know it's a freehold. I mean, it's a good district, it's freehold, but I think that there is still that there are better options out there, and I think the risk to me is high, like even after the discount. Okay, that's how I see it. I give you an example. During the good old days, during the good old days, give you an example. 2012, I know someone who bought a property in District 4. You know what is District 4? District 4 is the Telok Blangah, Harbourfront, Vivo City area. It's a good district, right? Sentosa Cove is there. Okay, so the thing is that if you know 2012, what kind of prices we were looking at for Singapore properties, right? If you can recall, 2012, a normal condo in the in the average area is selling about 1,000 to 1,001 PSF, a normal condo, right? Maybe in a better location you'll sell 1,003 PSF, right? So I would say a normal condo in 2012 is selling about maybe between 1,000 to 1,003 PSF. That's just the average, right? Then of course we got the good areas like District 9, 10, 11 or District 4, right? So what kind of prices are we looking at during 2012? Okay, so using my friend's example, okay, so 2012 he bought this property in District 4, okay, a high-end project called Reflections at Keppel, okay, and he paid 3.4 million. And how big is the size? The size is about 1,005 square feet, right? 1,005 square feet. So if you look at 3.4 million, right, 3.4 million 1,005 square feet, right? So your per square feet is about 2,200 per square feet, right? Okay. So at this kind of price, you buy a property, okay? You buy a property in Singapore at 2,500, sorry, 2,200 PSF, okay? Back in 2012, okay? Do you think it is expensive? Okay. Obviously, 2,200 PSF is at the high end of the property market back then. Of course, that is the kind of price we can expect in the Orchard area, in the good areas of District 9, 10, 11, okay, at 2,200 PSF, okay. So my point is that um, today, if you buy 8 St. Thomas, even at a discount, it is still hitting the high of about 3,000 for a prime freehold project property in a good district, right? So if you fast forward 2012 to today, what happened to this property here? Okay, unfortunately, the property price has dropped to how much? To about I think about 2+ million today, to about maybe about 2.2 million today, right? So the value has fallen a lot, right? And in terms of per square feet, it is only about I think 1,005 or 1,006, between 1,004 to 1,006, right? PSF, right? So the value has dropped a lot, and I think there's something which maybe we can learn from this example here. So you see, 2012, this project was selling at the highest end of the Singapore property market back then at 2,200 PSF, right? That was the highest already, right? So 8 years later, right, unfortunately the prices fell to the current level today, which is about 1,500 PSF, okay? So if I take this perspective that, what is the lesson learned here? The lesson learned here is that my friend bought this property in 2012 at the peak of the entire Singapore property market, okay? And eventually, when the property market corrected over the last, so many years, they are still staring at a loss today, okay? So for 8 St. Thomas, even after the discount at 2,600 PSF, I think it is still on the high side. To me, I mean, yes, no doubt, River Valley is a freehold project, but I still feel that it is a bit on the high end, because we are hitting almost 3,000, and 3,000, there's no other properties in Singapore that are costing $3,000, okay, except the good district, and we will never know when the good districts start to correct. Once they correct, right, the fall can be quite drastic, right? That is my point, right? So I don't feel so safe even after the discount. That is my own perception for 8 St. Thomas, okay, right? Now I give you another example. So the first thing about 8 St. Thomas is that in terms of the price is hitting the high, right? I call it hitting the high, okay? Hitting the high, which is something I don't feel very comfortable about. For me today to buy to spend like 2,500 PSF to buy even a freehold project in Orchard or in River Valley or in somewhere the District 9, 10, 11, right? Because I'm hitting the high of the Singapore property market already. No other places in Singapore are like above 2,005 except District 9, 10, 11. And when I look at what happened to my friend, actually my student, right? In 2012 he bought this project, and today the price has fallen quite a lot. I think that there's something we can maybe learn from this. Now the lesson that I want to share is that it's not that we are trying to time the market. We'll never know in future whether the prices will go up or go down. We'll never know, to be honest. Whoever who tell you they know is actually talking rubbish, right? Nobody knows when the price will go up or go down, okay? Let's be very honest about that. But I think there are certain things which we can take into consideration, certain risk mitigants that we can take to lower our risk, right? Lower our risk. And this is really coming to point 2. So I don't want to buy at a high where, if the price drop, I have more downside risk than upside potential. That's my point. Now coming to point number 2, I want to lower my risk. So how do I lower my risk? Now, if I give you an example, right? Maybe I can use the next piece here, right? Next piece. Okay. So if let's say today I want to buy 8 St. Thomas, okay, 1,000, let's say 1,000 square feet unit at 2,500 PSF, right? So that example, example, just a rough guide. So my price will be, I'm looking at about 2.5 million. Okay, agreed? This is the price I'm looking at to buy a unit at X and Commerce. Okay, so imagine today I have the money, I can afford this property, I go and buy this, right? I go and buy this. So now let's look at what is my financing for this property. So let's say, for example, I put a 30% down payment. 30% down payment, right? Cash lah, for example, cash. My cash will be about 750K, right? And then I take a 70% loan, which is about 1.75 million, right? So this is how I can afford a 2.5 million dollar property at X and Commerce. Okay, right? So after I'm done with this, and what kind of expected appreciation I'm looking at? Because remember, today you're buying after the discount, so you're buying at a cheaper price, 2,500 PSF. So for example, I just want to make $300 per square foot increase, right? So I want this price to go to 2,800 PSF. Is it reasonable? I think it's something which we can hope for, because some of the existing projects are already selling at above 3,000 already. And compared to the previous buyers, the first 120 buyers who bought X and Commerce during the earlier phases, they really bought above 3,000. So I think we have an advantage here. So if I just want to make this 300,000, right, appreciation of 300,000, right, from this project alone, okay, and if that really happens within the next few years, okay, what is my return on equity? Okay, return on equity, that means my 300K that I make from the appreciation here, divide by my cash that I put in, 750K, right, which is equals to 40%, which is not too bad, because I invested 750,000 into this property, cash as down payment, and I got 300,000 extra money, right, profit, through the capital appreciation in the next few years. Okay, so when I look at this, I say, okay, I'm aiming for 300,000 capital appreciation. Remember, 300,000 is a good number for us to aim for when we buy properties, whether is it new or resale. I think in the next 5 years, potentially it can give us, there's a chance that we can get this kind of numbers. Later I'm going to show you examples, right? Okay, so when I look at this, right, okay, potentially I can spend 750,000 and buy this property and make that 300,000 in the next, let's say, 5 years through the capital appreciation, and furthermore I got discount here, right? So I think it's more likely to happen that I can make this 300,000. Then I think about it the other way. Okay, in order for me to make the same amount of money, 300,000, right? Can I change another project? Can I look at another maybe development? And also that also allows me to very confidently make this 300,000, which is the same amount here. Okay, so let's say now I managed to find another property. Okay, so this property also 1,000 square feet, right, at 1,500 PSF. Okay, so it's the same size, let's say 1,000 square feet, but it's cheaper, right, 1,500 PSF. So now my price is 1.5 million, right? So 1.5 million, that is my investment now, the cost of the property, the other property, right, 1.5 million. So similarly, I want to make 300,000 here, right, from this property here. Okay, and later I'm going to show you whether it is possible to make 300,000 from a 1.5 million dollar property, right? I'm going to show you some examples, right? So let's assume that it is possible. Let's assume it's possible. Okay, so how are we going to finance this 1.5 million? So similarly, if I put 30% as cash, okay, I'm looking at 450,000. Okay, and if I take a 70% loan, I'm looking at 1.05 million, right? So I make, in the next, let's say 5 years, same thing, I make this appreciation, 300,000. Okay, so what is my return on equity here? Okay, it's the same 300,000 over 450,000, which is my 30% down payment. And in this example, it is 66%. Okay, so when I change another perspective to think of what I can potentially get out from X and Commerce, if I really go and invest in it, I just aim for 300,000, and I think about it, 300,000, can I get this 300,000 from another property, another project? And I think of the numbers here, right? Think of the allocation here. I think it's entirely possible that I can get this amount of capital appreciation for a $1.5 million property. And what is the implication for me now? The implication for me now is that I make the same capital appreciation, same amount of capital appreciation, right, with less capital. And what does that mean? My ROE is higher and my risk is lower. Okay, what is my risk here? My risk is only 450,000, okay, instead of 750,000 here. Okay, that is my point. Okay, that is my point. So I go back to the previous chart here. That is what I mean by lower my risk. Lower my risk means that I can make the same amount of capital appreciation from 8 St. Thomas on another property, the same amount, 300,000, right? And I do not need to buy a $2.5 million property to make that 300,000. Okay, I can just simply buy a $1.5 million property to make the same 300,000. Okay, that is my point, right? So this is lowering my risk here. So when I thought about this, lowering my risk, I think that becomes very attractive for me to really seriously consider other options than 38 St. Thomas, because I can still make this amount of money without having spent, you know, $2.5 million on just on one single property on 8 St. Thomas. Okay, right? So that is the second point here. Now, if you want to find out whether is it possible to really, you know, make $300,000 from a $1.5 million property, right? It is possible, right? It's possible. I have a few examples here. Actually, I can show you on the, you know, on the what you call that. I have this on a PowerPoint, but unfortunately, I don't know why today I can't play it. But let me see here, right? Okay, let me just maybe write down here some examples. I just quote two projects, right? The first project I want to quote is this project called High Park Residence, right? High Park Residences was launched in 2015. The location is in Jalan Kayu. Okay, so at that point in time when it was launched, there's a joke about it that if you cannot afford a HDB, you can afford a condo. You can afford this one, right? Because this one, the smallest unit, a studio, is about only 400,000. Only 400,000. Why is it so cheap? Because it is only 1,000 PSF. Okay, and the size is only 400 square feet, so it's 400,000. Okay, so if you cannot afford a 5-room HDB at 600,000, you can actually buy this. So that's a joke then. Okay, but joke aside, the other thing about this project is that during 2015, when it was launched, it was the biggest number of units in the whole of Singapore. Right, there are 1,399 units, almost 1,400 units, and no other projects in terms of the size back then was like so huge. Okay, the other project that was bigger than 1,400 units was the Leiden, 1,007 units, but that was launched like, you know, 5 years ago. Okay, so this was the biggest project back then. So there's these two jokes about it. I mean, it's the biggest project, whether can sell or not. Jalan Kayu, don't know whether can make money, and you know money, you can buy this one instead of HDB. Okay, so some of those people who bought a four bedroom unit, okay, at this place, you know how much they make today? Okay, let me just look at this thing. It's a bit small, I can't really see, but anyway, some of those who bought a 4-bedroom unit, right, they spend maybe about $1 million, right, back then, right. So today, they are selling for about 1.3 million, right? They make 300,000, or some of them even more, 400,000. Okay, all these are in the transaction, but unfortunately I can't show you because all these are in PowerPoint slides. I mean, there's some issue with the Facebook. Okay, so this is the actual transaction that's being done. A few of them already in High Park, because High Park was launched 5 years ago, 2015. So those people who bought 1 million back then, right? So today they're selling 1.3, 1.4 million. They make 300,000, 400,000 for a property in High Park. You think about it, even Jalan Kayu property can make you this kind of money, right? Is it scary? Is it scary? Okay, you don't need to go for good district properties, to be honest, right? There are opportunities across the island, only if you can, whether you can spot them or not. Okay, the second property which I want to mention is called Clement Canopy. Okay, this is a more recent one. This is 2017. It was launched 2017. So 2017, let's say a typical 3-bedroom, maybe it's about 1.3 million. Today, maybe they're selling for 1.5 million, 1.6 million, right? So easily make about 200,000 for this project. Okay, and these two are just the very simple projects which I just picked in the last few years that were launched. I think there are numerous other cases which potentially you can get this kind of money, right? What is this kind of money? It means that 150k, 200k, 250k appreciation in just 5 years, and this is the kind of objective that when I look at the property, I want you guys to get this money if you want to buy a property, right? So when I look at coming back to 8 St. Thomas, when I feel that uh, my target, the kind of appreciation I want to get from the property is 300,000, just to be conservative, 300,000. I do not need to spend 2.5 million on it. I do not need to spend $2.5 million on a property just to get that, 300,000. I can easily get a $1.5 million property. I can still make that 300,000 if I select the right project, right? As what history has shown us here. Okay, so it's entirely possible that if you select the right properties to buy, you can make easily at least even if you don't make 300, you can still make I think 200,000 is entirely possible. Okay, it's entirely possible. Okay, so that gives me the confidence to tell myself that okay, I really do not need to even after the discount for 8 St. Thomas at 2005 PSF, I really do not need to spend $2.5 million to buy that project to make that 300,000. I can lower my risk by lowering the quantum to 1.5 million, and I can still get this 300,000. Okay, that is my point, right? For point number two, lowering my risk. And I've shown you, a few examples, just two examples of the many, many examples that you can find in the market that previously, the last maybe 4 to 5 years, a property or new project which buyers, have bought. Today, they make about 150k, 200k, or even more. Okay. Now, my third point is about future buyers. Future buyers. Okay, what do I mean by future buyers? Future buyers means that if today I buy 8 St. Thomas at $2.5 million, okay, next time, how much should I sell to make money? Okay, how much should I sell to make money? Right, okay, I should be selling at least let's say 2.8 or 3 million, right? 2.8 or 3 million dollars and above. Let's say $3 million, $3 million, right? I buy 8 St. Thomas today at 2.5, 2.6 million. I want to make 400,000 appreciation. I want to sell above $3 million, right? $3 million. Now, $3 million, I ask myself, or you ask yourself, are there a lot of people in Singapore who can afford to buy a property at $3 million? You ask yourself this question, right? We may not know the answer. Doesn't matter. We ask ourselves this question first. Then we go and find out the answer. Okay, that's very important. Then in my just now that example, if I don't buy a $2.5 million property at 8 St. Thomas, okay, instead I buy a $1.5 million condo, I can still make that $300,000 appreciation. So means that if today I buy a $1.5 million condo, I want to make 300,000 appreciation, I need to sell in future at $1.8 million. $1.8 million. Okay, so do you think it's easier to find a buyer to buy a property that is $3 million or $1.8 million in terms of affordability? Okay, I think common sense will tell you the answer lah, right? So what if we look at the records, the data that I can find, what is the kind of numbers we are looking at, right? So for future buyers, imagine today I buy a $2.5 million property. In future, I want to sell at 3 million to somebody who's going to buy from me. But of course, I don't have the future data because future is not here yet. What I can do is, okay, I look at the past 2 years to see what kind of numbers are we looking at. Okay, so what I did was, I go and look at District 9, 10, 11, right? The good district. How many properties were sold above $3 million? Okay, how many properties were sold above $3 million? And when I say how many properties, there's above $3 million, of course, there's a size cap, because mine is just a 2 to 3 bedroom, so I have to cap it to 2 to 3 bedroom. It cannot be 4, 5 bedrooms, those kind, right? So So the results show us that there are about 600 over transactions. So exactly it's about how much? It's about how many? About 635. Right. Okay, I'll call it a CCR. Core Central Region, CCR. That means this is at above 3 billion. Right. So in the last 2 years, I repeat again, in the last 2 years, we have 635 buyers who bought a property, a resale property in core central area, right, that costs more than $3 million. So if I take this into perspective, means that, okay, in future, these 635 buyers may potentially be my buyer as well. Okay, right, because in the last 2 years, these people, these 635 of them have bought a resale property more than $3 million in the last 2 years. So if these people didn't buy that property, right, if in future they buy my property at $3 million, they will become my potential buyers to buy from me, right? So that is for H and Thomas. Now, what about if I buy a $1.5 million property, right? In obviously it's not the District 9, 10, 11, it will be somewhere outside, right? So where is the somewhere outside? Maybe we have got the RCR region or OCR region. You guys know what is this, right? RCR, OCR, right? RCR means the city fringe, right? OCR means the outskirt, like the Tampines, Yishun, the Clementi, Jurong, this kind of area lah. So, okay, so at this kind of area, I can buy a $1.5 million property, okay, and I sell in future. I just make 300,000. I sell at 1.8 million, right? So I sell at above 1.8 million, above 1.8 million. I will also make that 300,000, right? Okay, I will also make that 300,000. And what is the kind of numbers we are looking at here? Okay, so over here, the last 2 years, there were about 1,400 people, right, who bought a resale property in the RCR region that cost more than $1.8 million. Okay, and for the OCR region, may I guess, is it higher or lower? May I guess, is it higher or lower? Okay, actually, the numbers are lower, about 500, or so. Right? Why lower? Is because you must understand city fringe area, the properties are more expensive. Right? So the thing is that this is OCR at above 1.8. Okay, and again, these two are the just the quantum, right? We are looking at maybe about a three or four bedroom here, right? Whereas this is a two and three bedroom, right? So meaning to say that why only 500? The thing is that, of course, there are 3 to 4 bedrooms in the OCR region that cost below 1.8 million. These people will not be my buyers because I want to sell 1.8 million. And if they buy a 3 bedroom at 1.6 million, I'm going to sell to them. They cannot afford my property. Right? That's my point. Okay. So that's why OCR, because the properties are cheaper, so actually there are more properties being transacted, I would say, below the $1.8 million mark, which is not my target market. Right? Not my target market. Okay, I want to make money because I want to make this 300,000. I need to sell at $1.8 million. So there are only about 500 people in the last 2 years who bought a resale condo, 3 bedroom and above, outside in the OCR region, right? Above that is above $1.8 million. So if we combine the two, if we combine these two, it's almost about 2,000 people, right? 2,000 people, okay? 2,000 people versus 600 people. What is the thing that I'm seeing now? Basically, what I'm seeing is that if today I buy a 8 St. Thomas at 2.5 million, in future I want to sell at $3 million, how many people can afford? Only 600 people. Based on the last 2 years, the transaction I'm seeing, only 600 people can afford to buy a $3 million property from me, 8 St. Thomas, in future if I want to sell. Okay. Now, if I instead buy a $1.5 million property in the RCR or OCR region, right, a 3 bedroom, next time I want to sell for $1.8 million, I also make that 300,000 appreciation. Okay. Are there more people who potentially can buy my property? Yes, there are 2,000 people who potentially can afford to buy my properties in the last 2 years, what we are seeing. So we have almost 3 times more buyers, okay, for me. That is what I meant by future buyers. Okay. I want to make that $300,000. You see, when you invest in property, you definitely want to make money, right? Okay, whatever we talk so much, is actually pointless. At the end of the day, is you just want to make money. Whatever I'm sharing with you is just ways to, or things to consider, help you consider, so that you can make a more informed decision. That's it, right? So hopefully, at the end of the day, you guys can make money from properties, right? That is the whole intention, right? So the thing is that whether you invest in a $10 million property or $1 million property, at the end of the day, you still want to make money. It's just a matter of how much. So if you buy a $2.5 million property, right, you make that 300,000, let's say 300,000, right? Why not? I'm thinking my own personal opinion is that why not I spend this money or spend less money, maybe $1.5 million, I go and buy something which is cheaper, right? I can still make this $300,000 appreciation, right? And my risk is lower. And potentially because I buy at a lower price, $1.5 million, in future, if I want to sell, there are more buyers that can buy from me. So can you see these 3 points here? These 3 points that when I look at, East St. Thomas, yes, I know the location is not bad, River Valley along the main road. The size, the unit size, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom are very comfortable for own stay, for investment. The performance is also, the past 2 years was also not too bad, right? 100 over units or so. But when I come to the price issue, I think I have better options here, right? I'm not saying it's a lousy project. I'm just saying that I have better options out there compared with Eggs and Thomas, that I can potentially also make money from those other projects compared to if I'm to invest in a $2.5 million property here. And the issue is these three, what I break down for you here, right? Number one is that 2005 PSF, even after the discount, I think it's still hitting the high, right, of properties across, not just in District 9, 10, 11, but across the whole of Singapore, okay? I can make that appreciation. Point number two, I can make that appreciation without spending $2.5 million on a property, okay, as I've shown you certain examples here, especially these ones here, right? And of course, if I purchase a cheaper property, next time if I want to sell it, it also becomes easier for me because more people can afford to buy my properties, right, at a lower price, okay? So that is really the consideration when I look at, when I think about Eggs and Thomas. No doubt that it is not a bad project, right, to be honest, but I feel that there are better options in the market and that gives me lower risk, right? So that is my whole intention here. Okay, I think I've spoken about almost an hour. It's about 10:30 now. I just want to take another about 10 or 15 minutes or so to just further my point about these three things here. Okay, right now, have you heard of this project? This project, if you have heard of this project, can you just help me say yes, type yes in the comment? OUE Twin Peak. Have you heard of this project? OUE Twin Peak. Okay, this has nothing to do with Eggs and Thomas. This is a different project altogether, right? But I want to illustrate similar points here. Okay, so have you heard of this project? Please help me by commenting. Just type yes if you know what I'm talking about. OUE Twin Peak. Have you heard of this? Right? Have you heard of this project? Can you please help me to just type in? Okay, please comment. Please comment. Okay, let's see who will comment. Right? Now just help me to comment if you have heard about this. Right? Heard about this? Okay. Raja, okay, say no. Hazel, yes. Jeffrey, yes. William Tan, yes. Right. Can I have more response? So at least I know whether you know this project or not. If you don't know, then I explain a bit more. Right. So Raja said no. Hazel, yes. Thank you very much. Jeffrey, yes. William, yes. Kamsun, yes. Kelvin Lim, yes. Right. Okay. So just enter your comments. Doesn't matter. Right. Okay. When this project, why I want to give this example? Okay, I see that today, or Desmond Chong, thank you very much. You said yes. Ivy said yes, right? Okay, thanks for your response. David Liu said yes. Okay, why I want to put this thing here is because I believe tonight, or usually my sessions are, more than half of the audience are my students. My students means that they have attended my 2 or 3 day property wealth creation program before, right? It can be 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, over the years, over the last 7 years. Okay, right? So I think more than 50% of them are here tonight. Usually that's the case, right? So thanks very much, Jasmine. You said no. Okay. Ivy at Orchard, right? Felix, no. Christina Chu, yes. Okay, thanks for the response, right? So the thing is that for my students who came to my program I attended my program second half of 2016, I actually gave this example during my 3 day program. Okay, right? And what did I say about this property? Now, OUE Twin Peak was actually the en bloc of former Grangeford. It's a 99-year-old site, okay, back in 2007. And the price the developer paid in 2007 was 1,800 PSF. Okay, that was back then, the en bloc price. Okay, this is the en bloc price, right? So it started selling in 2011, 2012 for, I think it was about 3,000 back, because the good old days are 2011, 2012. Those were the good old days, right? So they were selling for about like how much was it? About, I think around 3,000 PSF, around 3,000 PSF, right? Then the sales were not very good, because if you recall 2013, when government came out with the TDSR, then nobody can afford expensive properties anymore, right? So the sales after 2013, 2014 was slow. 2014, 2015 was slow. Then what did the developer do? In this case, the developer is OUE, right? OUE is the developer. So what they did was they didn't give discount, but they offer something called the deferred payment scheme, right? Deferred payment scheme. So deferred payment means that they become more flexible in terms of their pricing, right? Deferred payment scheme. So maybe you you can just pay 20% and then stay for 2 years before you pay the other 80%, something like this. So what is it useful? How is it useful? It's useful for those people who are in the midst of, selling their properties or buying houses or cannot take a loan and all those kind of things, right? So usually for people who have got ABSD issue or loan issue, they will love deferred payment scheme, because it allows them to book the unit without having to commit to the whole 100% purchase price upfront, right? Because if they commit to 100%, they need to pay the ABSD, they cannot take a loan and all those issues, right? Sorry, excuse me. So deferred payment. So 2015, they relaunched this with a deferred payment scheme, right? Okay, and the sales really took off in 2016, actually, second half of 2016. Right. In fact, someone invited me to go there and take a look from, I think, one of the units, and it was a very nice view, because Orchard is just next door, right? And obviously the question back then was that, is this a good investment? Is it a savvy investment? Right. So for any of my students here, right, if you have attended my property wealth creation program, the 3-day program, in the July batch, the October batch, the November batch of 2016, I would have gone through this example. You don't believe, you go back to check your notes. If you still keep my notes, right? Okay. You don't believe, you go back and check your notes. I'm sure it is there inside, in one of the slides. Okay, under day number 2, day two slides, right? Even in some of my preview, right, 2-hour preview, I also give this example. Now, what is so special about this example? Because the thing is that in 2016, this was a hot property. A lot of agents were selling this property. Why? Because the deferred payment scheme was very creative, and is something which, very innovative in the market back then. But of course, today is already, people are used to it, but back then was actually very innovative, I would say. So there was a lot of hype, a lot of activities, a lot of attention on this property here. And really, they 2011, 2012, they didn't manage to sell a lot of units. Then after that, the TDSR came, and then after that, they came out with this deferred payment scheme. Within like 1 year, they managed to almost sell everything. Almost sell everything. By 2017, I think they almost fully sold already. Fantastic. Fantastic. They didn't lower the price, right? But they came out with this deferred payment scheme. A lot of people felt that it was very flexible, so a lot of people bought. Okay. So when I saw this thing, I asked myself, honestly, I asked myself, is this a good investment? I even asked the class, and I discussed with the class. I shared with the class back then, 2016, my opinion on this property here. Okay, right? So, what is my conclusion on this? Now, rewind back to 2016. You must rewind back to 2016, because today is 2020 already. You rewind back to 2016. Okay? So the thing is that, right, when I look at this, I felt something like, 8 St. Thomas case. Okay, developer give a discount. Developer did do something creative. So in the case of 8 St. Thomas, is that developer give a discount, outright discount, right? Then for this thing is that they didn't give a discount, but they gave this thing called a deferred payment scheme, right? So it's also something created, right, by the developer. So when I look at this deferred payment scheme for OUE Twin Peak back in 2016, I asked myself, so with the deferred payment scheme, is this a good thing? Is this a good investment? Because a lot of people seems to be buying this project. Okay, and my conclusion is that no, I don't feel even after the deferred payment scheme it is anything fantastic, right? And I share with you why, right? I share with you why. Okay, before I share with you why, again, you see, everything, whatever I share, if you have been following my Facebook Live, or you have been my student the last few years, Everything I share is on public records one. Okay, all this recording I'm talking now that you're listening, right? All these are actually recorded on my own Facebook page, right? On my own timeline, on PSF Real Estate Academy timeline, right? So all these things are public. I'm not doing a webinar. Webinar I can control who come in, right? Facebook Live means any Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't even know who some of these, you guys are. I may not even have met you, but I'm telling you this thing. I'm stating this, all these examples is because I want you to understand that, I don't just look at the market today and say that, on hindsight, I think, yeah, that project can buy. That's why I can tell the whole world now, you see, 2015, I asked you to buy that project, 2016, I asked you to buy the project, blah, 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 this kind of thing, right? No. In 2015, 2016, all these over the years already made such a statement already that I look at a project, I think can buy, okay, can buy. Why? I give the reasons. I think cannot buy, why I think cannot buy, okay, give the reasons. Right? Of course, I'm not saying that I'm always correct. Sometimes I'm wrong as well, right? But I'm thankful most of the time I get my, judgment almost spot on, right? I'm just thankful for that, right? So I hope going forward, whatever I share with you guys, I can be, I can maintain that kind of track record, right? So back to this one, 2016. Why did I say that it is not I don't think there's anything fantastic about this thing, right? Okay, there are a few reasons I look at it, right? Number one is that, okay, you bought the price at this kind of price, 1,008 PSF for a piece of land in Orchard. So that means you have to sell me about 2007, 2008 lah, right? So which is the kind of price they're really selling, right? So they are selling about, can't see, right? Okay, I push it here, right? So they are selling about 2.4 to 2.6 PSF, right? During the 2016 period, right? So at this kind of price range, which is understandable because the developer bought at 1,008 PSF. Okay, it's understandable. They sell you at this kind of price, it's not expensive, right? But when you look at this kind of price, again, what is the kind of thinking I was thinking, right? 2005, 2000, okay, around 2005 PSF, I buy a condo in Orchard. Okay, is it expensive? Is it cheap? Can I buy? Okay, then I was thinking, back then, 2015 or 16, what is the kind of condo prices in Orchard? Same about 3,000 about 3,000 PSF right? So again, it's like, wow, 2005, the ceiling, the top end is 3,000 PSF. I'm only a few $100s away from the ceiling, the top end, the top end, the 3,000, right, 3,000. I'm at 2005, I'm hitting the ceiling very soon already. Then why must I be hitting the ceiling? You must understand. If you hit the ceiling, means your risk very high, like my student 2012 bought that, Reflections property at 2002 PSF, today drop until, wow, tell you, 1,006 only, right? Wow, lost $1 million, okay? So why must you be hitting the ceiling? I don't understand, right? Why must I be buying a property, right, 2,500 PSF in Orchard? And some more, this is not even freehold, If I buy eggs and Thomas, at least people give me freehold, okay? This one is not even freehold. This is what, 99 years. Hey, 99 years. I spent $2,500 buying 99 years in Orchard, right? And I'm hitting the ceiling very soon. It doesn't make sense, right? To me, it doesn't make sense, right? So that's the first thing I saw, right? In terms of price, I think it's a bit on the high side, okay? Then there's another argument which I think about, right? A lot of times, when developers or property agents want to sell you properties, they always quote you the high price. So one of the marketing message for this property back then was, what they were saying? They were saying like, OUE Twin Peak at 2,500 PSF can buy one. It's okay, very undervalued, very cheap, whatever, blah blah blah, right? Because you know why or not? They were comparing with the good old days, where places like Patterson Hill or the Mark, all these high-end properties were selling for 4,000-5,000 PSF. Okay, in 2007 to 2012, right? You check the transaction records, right? The highest property ever transacted across Singapore in history is 6,000 PSF, right? At the Mark, right? The Mark at Patterson, right? So they compare with 6,000 PSF, of course right? You compare this kind of thing, how can? It's totally off already, right? You compare with something which is not even here today, right? So they're saying that, if you buy this OUE 3P at 2,500 PSF, right? Imagine next time you go to 6,000, which has happened before at Patterson, Mark at Patterson. Wow, how much money will you make? Ayo, don't come and tell me this kind of thing. 6,000, even today don't even have 6,000. Tell me next time. Right. Whether it can go back to 6,000 or not, I also don't know. Don't even know. Maybe can. Maybe many years later. I don't know. Right. But today I'm not even seeing it at 4,000. Right. How do you even want to tell me at 6,000? So the whole argument is become flawed again. Right. That all this kind of marketing talk sometimes is just make you feel good about you are buying a 2005 is a really undervalued property. Okay, so again it's like if you have been following my Facebook live the last few weeks, you know what I mean by value lah. I don't see value lah. That's the whole thing, right? So don't tell me about 6,000 because I'm not seeing 6,000 today. The only thing I'm seeing is 3,000 only, which is maybe some other project selling at 3,000, and I'm already hitting the ceiling already. So I don't see the value here. Okay, so that's another reason. Okay, then regarding as an alternative, if I buy this one bedroom is about $1.4 million, $1.4 million, right? I can rent out for about 3,500 a month. Okay, fine. So I look at alternative. If I really want to buy, something around there, right? I can also get, that kind of rental about 3K to 3.5K for one bedroom. An existing resale property, someone is freehold, of course, it's not brand new lah. It's maybe a 5-year, 10-year-old, 12 years old, 15 years old freehold property, right? Especially in the Leonie Hill area. I only spent 1.2 million only. Okay, right? So that was back then. The thinking was that, I don't need to spend $1.4 million on this one bedroom here, right? And it's 99 years. I can buy just next door, Leonie Hill, some of the condos there were like, freehold, $1.2 million only. I can get the same rental, right? So that is another train of thought. But of course, I just digress a bit that again, if you have understand me the last few sessions, right, when I do this Facebook Live, freehold property, what is the challenge here is capital appreciation. So don't just look at the rental, right? Consider capital appreciation as well, because capital appreciation can really make you a lot of money, right? But anyway, that was my thought of my train of thought in terms of rental, right? I can get a similar rental with a cheaper property. I don't need to buy this, right? So that's the third point. Okay. The fourth point, what's the fourth point? Fourth point is that developer came up with this deferred payment scheme. What exactly is this? So basically, if you want to buy under the normal payment scheme, that means no advantage at all. You pay the normal price. Okay. You can buy under another scheme called the deferred payment scheme. Deferred payment scheme means that, okay, you pay maybe 20% now, right now, and then they give you the keys. You can have the property. You want to stay inside, it's up to you. You want to rent out, it's up to you. Okay, right? So for the next 2 years, you don't need to pay anything. Until 2 years later, you pay the balance 80%. So that 80% can be a cash, can be loan, or whatever. Okay, so if you think about it this way, if you buy as an investment, for 2 years, you can actually rent out, free rental, because there's no bank loan yet. Right? Bank loan only comes after 2 years. Right, so imagine 1 month you collect 3,500, 1 year you collect 42,000, 42,000, that's 1 year 1 year of rental. 2 years you collect about 80,000, right? So 2 years you collect 80K of rental, 80K rental, sorry, 80K rental, right? This rental, right? You get me? 2 years 80K rental. So 1 month is about 3,500, you times 24, it's about 80K of rental, okay? But bear in mind, in order for you to collect this free money 80K rental, without having to pay the bank loan, the developer not so stupid, okay? They charge you 5% more the purchase price. So instead of 1.4 million, instead of 1.4 million, right, that you need to pay, you pay another 5% more, which is another 70,000 more, plus 5% more, right? So instead of paying 1.4 million under the normal payment scheme, now if you want to enjoy the 2 years, with no strings attached, you need to pay another 5% more, which is $1.47 million, 70,000 more. So I think about it, isn't it the same? Because you collect the free rental here, the free money, the 2 years you don't need to pay the loan, right? You collect this 80,000, you rent out for 2 years, you collect this 80K of rental, you need to pay the loan, but your 80K actually used to offset the 5% here. It's the same, it's back to the same old thing, right? It's back to the same old thing. You don't actually gain any significant advantage because most developers, if you opt for deferred payment scheme, they will increase the price by 3 to 5%. So even if you can rent out for free during that 2 years and collect 2 years of rental, your money end up paying that 3 to 5% here, right? So overall scheme of things, is there any advantage for me? No, it doesn't mean that there's a discount for me, right? So assessing all these things, taking into consider all these things, that's why I tell my class in 2016, I tell those guys who came to my program, came for my preview, this OUA Twin Peak, I don't think is a good investment. I tell you very honestly, I don't think it's a good investment, right? But a lot of people were selling this in 2016, and obviously people were buying lah, right? So long story short, that was my judgment back then on this project in 2016, right? So today, 2020, um, I think what has shown me is that thankfully again my judgment is correct lah, right? Because if you go and Google, actually I got the newspaper report lah, but again I can't show you on PowerPoint, right? If you go and Google, right, this publication, the Age, actually came up with a report in December 2019, right? A report in 2019. So actually have the PowerPoint slide here, this little slide here, but anyway you can't see lah. But the headline is deferred losses for record sellers at OUE Twin Peak. That is the title, right? Deferred losses for sellers, recent sellers at OUE Twin Peak. That is the title of the publication. This was published by The Age. The Age is a publication, property publication in December 2019. Right? Don't believe you can Google this thing. Right? You see this, you can read this thing. So what is the report trying to say? The report is saying that basically most of the people who bought this property, OUE Twin Peak, lost money. They sell, lost money, lost money. That means those who bought 2011, 2012 until today they sell, of course lose money lah, because 2011, 2012 when it was first launched, right, they were selling, they was buying at 2,000, almost 3,000 PSF. Today where got this kind of price? Today only about maybe about 2,400, 2,500 only, same thing, right? So lost money lah, right? So those who bought during the deferred payment scheme, right, till today they sell also make a little bit of money, a little bit of loss. Okay, not a big loss, not like a few $100,000. Maybe it's a marginal loss lah. So maybe they bought at $1.7 million. Today they sell at 1.5 million lah. So it's a little bit of loss there, right? So the thing is that the interesting thing is that this is something which I find it very very funny, right? In the publication, if you go and read the whole thing, okay, one of the people actually said that these guys are, yeah, on paper they lost money, but actually they didn't lose money, because if some of them have bought under the deferred payment scheme, they will have enjoyed 2 years of free rental, and this free rental can offset their losses here, right? Then I was thinking, in order for them to enjoy that 2 years, right, they will have bought at a higher price already, right? Higher price already means that today, let's say you bought at 1.7 million back then. Today you sell at $1.5 million. How much is your rental? At most about less than 100K. You still lose money. Yeah, you offset a bit, but you still lose money, you see, right? So the thing is that ultimately these people still lose money. And I think the greatest problem back that I saw in this property was the fact that I think it is really hitting the ceiling here, hitting the high here for Orchard Properties, right? And I feel that I can do other means to lower my risk lah. That is my whole point. I think future buyers, there will be buyers. If you are buying a 1 bedroom 1.4 million today, you want to sell at 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 million. I think there will be people buying your properties. There will be such people. They can still afford. But it's really the first 2 points which I don't feel very comfortable about. Right, back in 2016 when I saw you OUE Twin Peak, and I think the same reason I'm seeing today after discount for Eggs and Commerce, right? So I mean, in the last, I think it's quite a bit of time already. It's about 10:45 now, right? Well, I've gone on for about almost 1 hour 20 minutes. I don't know, always I end up talking so much. I'm still glad that most of you guys are still with me. Okay, so I've actually come to the end of this sharing. I hope you guys have learned something, that I share that gives you a bit of more perspective in terms of what kind of properties you can potentially choose. Right, that's very important, because honestly, if you imagine yourself as that friend and that student who bought that Reflections property in 2012, honestly, today he's still suffering. I can tell you that he's still suffering. He's trying to dispose of that property. He can't find a buyer, even at $2 to $2.1 million. He can't find a buyer. That's the thing, right? Imagine you bought this OUE Twin Peak in 2016 because of deferred payment scheme, or because of whatever reason, because of marketing reason, because there were so many people buying, so many agents selling this property. You went to buy this property. Today, I don't think you have made that money, honestly. If you don't lose money, I think it's already a good thing already. Don't even think about capital appreciation, right? Because there's no way this property can give you that 300,000, right? So the thing is, hopefully this is something which you can take away and take into consideration in terms of choosing the next property that you're going to invest in. I know some of you guys are already looking at investing in properties, right? And I hope that what I've shared with you over the last few days, few weeks, especially also tonight, will be helpful for you to gain an alternative insight in what kind of properties you can invest in. Because honestly, for most of you guys, you all don't really look at properties day in day out, not like myself as a professional. So we are very sensitive. For me, I'm very sensitive to certain things that I see in the market. And the good thing is that I've got so many students. When they share certain good things with me, bad things with me, I look at what they have done. I go and think about it. If they have done something good, something right, I'll reflect upon it and think that ask myself, what is the thing that they have done correctly that I can learn from them and share with you guys here. If I see that some of them make certain mistakes in the past, then I go and reflect about their actions. Okay, why is it that they have done certain things that end up in this kind of situation here, right? So I share with you guys as well. Hopefully, all these things that I share with you can help you make better investment decisions in the future. May not be now, but eventually, if you really want to buy a property, which I think most of us will, it can help you in your, the choice of property which you are going to enter into, right? Essentially, a property is really for you to make money, to create wealth. Shelter aside, as a roof over your head, shelter aside, if most of us will still want, that kind of value in our properties in the long run, that we buy today at a certain price, we hope that we can achieve more in the future, right? Whether when we want to sell or when we want to continue living, but we hope that the value has gone up. I think that's very important, right? So with that, tonight, I think I will end my sharing here, okay, right? And I will I tell myself, I will resolve to do this every week, do this sharing every week. I may not be able to tell you the content for next week, right? Usually I announce 1 or 2 days before, and today is a Thursday. Usually I do on Wednesday night. So next week I'll still try to keep to Wednesday 9:30 p.m. I try to make it a weekly thing, right? So next week topic, I actually have thought about it already, and I'm going to share with you what I feel about, when we go into phase 2 now, which is actually tonight. In another hour's time, you can go party already. You can go 24-hour makan session and officially sit down there and order your food, order your drinks. Sit down there, nobody's going to chase you away. Enforcement officer is not going to chase you away, right? Because once we cross 12 midnight tonight in an hour's time, the good news is that we are in phase 2. Phase 2 means most of the retail store, whatever, can open already, right? So when we go into phase 2, taking into consideration what we have gone through the last few months, circuit breaker, phase 1, phase 2, and whatever newspaper reports that you have seen in the market in the last maybe 1 or 2 months, right? I will share with you next Wednesday what is my take about the property market in the next few months, right? And what is the implication for you guys? If you guys are looking at properties, right, what is the kind of things that you should be taking note of, right? So that's for next week, right? That's for next week. So as I said, before I end this session, if you feel that all these have been very useful for you, please do help me comment and share with your friends, right, or your Facebook timeline, because you never know who I can reach out to out there. Like some of you guys here, just let me take a look who else is new here. Mandy, hi Mandy is my student, right? Yan Jun is my university friend. You see, I never expect some of these people to come on board, but the fact that they managed to stay, with us for the last 1 hour or so, and hopefully for a lot more sessions, I really hope that, whatever I've shared with you, you find it very unique, interesting, refreshing insight from all the kind of, normal mundane news that, or kind of marketing talk that you hear from the outside, right? That can really help you make a property investment, a judgment, make a better property investment decision, right? So with that, thank you very much. Good night. Enjoy your phase 2 in the next 7 days, and I'll see you again next Wednesday night. Thanks very much. Take care, and all the best. Stay safe, right? Bye bye.